As early as 1884, to determine the outcome of multi-winner elections for the House of Representatives, English writer and mathematician Lewis Carroll proposed allowing candidates to transfer excess votes to another candidate.
The elector must understand that, in giving his vote to a candidate A, he gives it him as his absolute property to use for himself or to transfer to other candidates, or to leave unused. If he cannot trust the man for whom he votes so far as to believe that he will use the vote for the best, how comes it that he can trust him so far as to wish to return him as member?
Lewis Carroll was probably the first person to propose empowering candidates to transfer their received votes, an idea that is arguably a precursor of liquid democracy. Most of the ideas that comprise the fundamentals of what we now call liquid democracy were developed in the United States throughout the second half of the 20th century. In 1967, Gordon Tullock proposed a hybrid of direct and representative democracy.
With modern electronics, there is no necessity for all representatives to meet in the same hall. Consequently, there is no maximum on the number of representatives. Voting could easily be done by wire, and the proceedings could be broadcast. In the extreme case, there seems no reason why people who wish should not vote for themselves and then fill their days by casting their single vote for and against the various proposals.
Tullock was aware of the revolutionary and visionary nature of his proposal.
New ideas always seem radical and bizarre. I would not claim that the new ideas I have advanced in these essays are the best possible suggestions. I hope, however, that they will play at least some role in the search for a better and more scientific political structure.
In his 1969 publication, James C. Miller proposed a program for direct and proxy voting in the legislative process.
Instead of electing representatives periodically for a tenure of 2 years or more, why not allow citizens to vote directly or delegate proxy to someone else for as long as they like?
If people were to choose to delegate, their delegations would be revocable at any time.
The representative would be subject to instant recall by each and every voter. Such recall would be on a day-to-day or even hour-to-hour basis.
Miller also considered the idea that voters may decide whether to vote directly or via proxy on a per-topic basis.
Most voters would utilize some combination, voting on major issues personally and delegating proxy to someone else for the minor decisions. Thus, the third feature of the proposal is a provision for proxy as well as direct voting.
The ideas from the 1960s reappeared on the Internet around 1995. Proposing a model for electronic democracy, Rob Lanphier described the concept of a public ballot stewardship with so-called stewards. These stewards are, in the terms of liquid democracy, what we would call delegates today. He proposed the ability to change a delegation at any time. For particular decisions, he proposed, one should also be able to override the delegation temporarily and vote directly. Along with Miller, Lanphier also proposed to allow different delegations for different topics.
Maybe, instead of one body, there could be several Congresses, each with assigned powers of their own. One Congress dedicated to the interior, one to defense, one to education. People could pick individual stewards for each, or choose one to handle all. Perhaps this would be done on an individual basis, where the steward has trusted advisors that actually choose the vote in their given specialty.
Lanphier's notion of trusted advisors could be seen as a precursor to what was later proposed as the transitivity of delegations in the 2000s. In the early 2000s, both Brian Ford and James Green Armitage picked up the previous ideas on delegations and proposed different concepts for democratic systems. Both expressly added the idea of transitivity of delegations to the previously existing proposals.
One reason this might be good is that it would allow voters to indicate as proxies people who are knowledgeable in the field that a specific issue relates to. For example, if the issue is relevant to ecology, then a voter might indicate an ecologist as their proxy for that issue, or a staff member at an NGO that deals with the environment. Or, rather than being a matter of a field of study, a voter may delegate his vote to someone whom he knows has educated themselves well about that issue in particular. For example, if the issue is choosing between different versions of a trade bill and the voter knows someone who has read all of the different versions personally, even if most voters would not know such a person, their proxies and their proxies' proxies might.
Both Green Armitage and Ford added the last piece of the puzzle. By adding transitivity, all defining properties of liquid democracy then became part of the scientific debate. People can decide whether they wish to have a direct say or be represented on a topic. If they wish to be represented, they can do so through topic-based delegations, which are transitive, modifiable, and always revocable. Regardless of delegations, people can decide to have a direct say at any time. This is what we call liquid democracy today. Liquid democracy continues to fascinate the international scientific community and many citizens around the world. Scientists from fields as diverse as sociology, mathematics, and philosophy are intrigued by the potential of liquid democracy to create a better society.